I never expected a love so beautiful that it turned my life upside down. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sun was setting, casting sharp shadows on the street, the air thick with an unshakable tension. My heart raced as I stumbled upon the most mesmerizing pair of blue eyes in the bustling market. They flickered with an otherworldly light, as if a hidden universe resided within them. I felt drawn in, pulled by an invisible string, my breath hitching in my throat. Ethan was his name, and he wasn't just another face in a crowd. He carried a haunting beauty, a mysterious past whispered among the locals. They said his family once owned the grandest mansion in town until it mysteriously burned down, leaving nothing but ashes and tales of a curse. My chest tightened with curiosity. What secrets did he harbor? The echoes of laughter around us felt muted, as though the world vanished with each shared glance. I was already a mess of emotion, my life a tangled knot of unfulfilled dreams and heartbreaks. A single mother at 25, I was no stranger to pain. My daughter, Lily, was my reason for everything, her smile my balm. But seeing Ethan felt like discovering a forgotten song that tugged at my soul. In that moment, I could feel my heart crack open, splintering with a mixture of hope and fear. Days turned to weeks, each one filled with stolen moments, electric touches, and whispered promises. But shadows loomed, casting doubt over our connection. Whispers of an old witch who lived in the woods crept into my mind. They told tales of her curse. Those who dared love the lost ones suffered dire consequences. As I spent more time with Ethan, those cautionary tales felt less like myth and more like a warning I couldn't ignore. An unexpected twist crashed down like thunder on my fragile heart. One night, as lightning lit up the sky, Ethan vanished. I waited, heart racing, desperate for a text, a sign, anything to prove he was still there. But all I received was an eerie silence, stretching out like an infinite shadow. Panic clawed at me. Why had he left? Did he know something I didn't? Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown. And just when I thought I could breathe again, a chilling revelation came rushing in like a tempest. That cursed witch had seen us. She had spoken his name in her raspy voice, with malice dripping from her words, claiming he was marked for something dark, something I couldn't fathom. As I stood on the precipice of despair, I clutched Lily close, her innocent laughter ringing in my ears. Would I lose Ethan to a curse? Or could love conquer the shadows that threatened to swallow us whole? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The nights that followed Ethan's disappearance unfurled like a series of dark, twisted dreams. Each one left me more exhausted than the last, my heart thumping wildly in my chest as I replayed the moments we shared, the warmth of his hand, the softness of his voice, the way he made me feel alive. Yet, with each sunset, the weight of fear pressed heavier upon my shoulders. Was our love truly strong enough to withstand whatever dark forces loomed over us? Days blurred into one another until I found myself standing in the center of the market where we first met, the vibrant stalls now feeling ghostly and vacant. I scanned the crowd, a naive hope blooming in my chest each time someone walked by with a familiar silhouette, only for it to wither when I realized it wasn't him. The sounds of laughter, the sweet scent of fresh bread baking, all felt like cruel reminders of joy that I no longer possessed. But amidst the desolation, a flicker of kindness ignited a small flame within me. An elderly woman, her hair a silvery halo catching the last threads of sunlight, approached. With her gentle hands, she offered me a small loaf of bread, freshly baked that morning. "You look troubled, dear," she said, her voice soothing, as if she bore 1,000 shared secrets. "This will give you strength." I thanked her, my voice quivering, surprised by the warmth of her compassion. As I took the bread, something shifted within me. The world around me might be spiraling into chaos, but in this moment, I felt a tether to someone who cared, albeit a stranger. I wandered to a nearby bench, breaking the bread and savoring each crumb as if it were imbued with hope. It was a small reminder that kindness still lingered in unseen corners. However, I couldn't push away the dark thoughts. The witch's words echoed in my mind, spinning tales of love and loss intertwined with vengeance. I wondered what fate awaited Ethan. My heart crackled with the urgency to find him, to confront whatever shadows threatened our love. But if the curse was indeed real, what power did I hold against it? That evening, Lily clutched her favorite stuffed bear, her small fingers tracing the frayed seams that had seen better days. "Mama, can we light a candle for Ethan?" she asked, her wide eyes shimmering with innocence and understanding beyond her years. I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. We gathered in the small living room, and I lit a candle, the flickering flame dancing wildly in the dim light. "Please come back," she whispered, her voice breaking through my heart like a sigh of longing. I joined her in silence, allowing the weight of our shared hope to encircle us. In that moment, I realized how much I craved Ethan, not just for myself, but for her, for the family we had envisioned together. But just as I found a sense of solace, a sound outside caught my attention, a noise akin to footsteps, hurried and deliberate. I rushed to the window, heart racing, desperate for a glimpse of anyone. To my astonishment, I spotted a figure against the canvas of the twilight sky, slowly approaching our door. I blinked, disbelief flickering like the candle's flame. Was it possible? Just as I prepared to open the door, I froze at the sight of a shadow sweeping across my threshold, billowing like smoke. It was not Ethan. Instead, my breath caught as an unfamiliar woman, cloaked in a dark robe, appeared before me. Her eyes alight with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "Your love will trigger the curse if you don't heed the signs," she whispered, her voice low yet commanding, resonating with an urgency that filled the air with an electric charge. "Ethan is in danger, and the only way to save him is to find the truth behind the witch's spell." I stepped back instinctively, feeling the overwhelming swirl of emotions crash over me like a tidal wave. Her words wrapped around me like chains, the foundation of my hope trembling as a new, chilling reality settled in. Could it be true? Were the bonds of love truly laced with darkness? As the woman gestured towards the doorway, signaling for me to follow, all I could think was of the once bright future I desperately wanted, now overshadowed by a promise of peril. I hesitated, the weight of doubt anchoring me in place. Was I ready to confront whatever lay ahead, to face the truths that could shatter everything? Just as I opened my mouth to speak, the ground beneath us rumbled ominously, the earth groaning as if it were awakening from a deep slumber. Instinctively, I grabbed Lily and pulled her close, fearing the world was about to turn again, and I might lose everything before I ever truly found it. The shadows danced around the room, a choreography of uncertainty that left me with a sense of dread. The stranger's presence, cloaked in darkness, felt like an ominous reminder that my quest for Ethan was fraught with peril. I clutched Lily tighter, her small body trembling against mine as the woman continued with words heavy with foreboding. "We must move quickly," she urged, her eyes narrowing. "There's no time to waste. The longer we stay in the dark, the more dangerous it becomes for him." A sickening dread pooled in my stomach, the fear of the unknown tearing away at the seams of my resolve. How could I abandon my child in pursuit of this elusive truth? But the words that danced on the edge of my mind wouldn't let me stay still. Ethan was out there somewhere, trapped in a mystery that entwined our fates like twisted vines. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice shaking, betraying my vulnerability. "What do you know about Ethan?" The woman hesitated, her features illuminated by the flickering candlelight, casting eerie shadows on her face. "Names have power, sometimes too much." She glanced at Lily before returning her fiery gaze to me. "But you must trust me. I know more about the witch and the dark forces at work than you can imagine." The tension in the air thickened, and I could feel my heart thumping louder in my chest. Trust was a currency I had spent too freely before, And yet, the urgency in her voice gnawed at me. I hesitated, searching for a path through the chaos that threatened to unravel everything I held dear. Suddenly, a soft whimper broke my concentration. I looked down at Lily, her innocent eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and confusion. And in that moment, I realized this journey was no longer just about me. It was about protecting her, about preserving the small flicker of hope that still resided in her heart. "Okay, I'll follow you," I said, the weight of my decision heavy upon my shoulders. "But I need to know Lily is safe." A satisfied smile spread across the woman's face. "She will be safe, as long as you remain close." I led Lily back to her favorite toy, the faded teddy bear she cherished more than anything in the world, and told her to stay put while I contacted a neighbor. With shaky fingers, I dialed Mrs. Henderson's number, praying she would be home to look after Lily for a few moments. Mrs. Henderson answered, her familiar voice bringing a moment of solace amidst the storm. "Everything okay, dear? I need a favor. Can you watch Lily? Just for a little while?" "Of course. I'll be right over," she replied, her tone soothing, unaware of the tempest brewing in my soul. With Lily perched safely with Mrs. Henderson, I turned back to the woman, anxiety bubbling under my skin. "What do we do now?" She beckoned me to follow her outside. The night air was laced with tension, and I felt birds flutter in my stomach as we moved into the dimly lit street where moonlight barely pierced the darkness. "Keep your heart open to what you'll discover," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "The truth can be as sharp as the knife that cuts, but it can also carve a way through the shadows." There was a strange energy radiating from her, a magnetic pull that both fascinated and terrified me. As we journeyed down familiar streets, now cloaked in mystery, an unexplainable sense of connection formed between us. I tried to glean every ounce of knowledge I could about her, but she remained elusive, a riddle wrapped in a secret. "Why now?" I finally asked as we stopped at the edge of a thick, ancient forest, the trees looming like solemn sentinels. "Why tell me all this?" "Because love, true love, is often what calls to the darkness. It resonates in the witch's heart. Ethan is bound to you, but you must understand the sacrifices intertwined with that bond. Only then can you navigate the shadows." I stared into the depths of the forest. Fear was a cold shackle around my heart, but the fire of hope flickered deep within. I thought of Ethan's laughter, his warmth, the dreams we had woven together. If there was even a glimmer of hope to bring him back into our lives, I had to strive forward. Before I could take a step, a deafening sound shattered the stillness, an otherworldly roar resonating from the heart of the forest, freezing my blood in my veins. The woman turned to me, her eyes wide with something I couldn't quite place. "Fear. Maybe. Run," she commanded. Instinctively, I turned and bolted into the darkness, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The shadows loomed closer, closing in on me like dark tendrils seeking to consume everything. I glanced back to see the woman following close behind, but then a blinding flash of light erupted behind me, accompanied by the noise of glass shattering. My heart raced as I felt the weight of the forest press down, branches reaching out like grasping hands. I could feel my breath quickening, panic rising within me. But beneath it all lay a burgeoning determination, one that wouldn't allow me to falter. Just as I plunged deeper into the abyss, my foot caught on an exposed root, and I fell hard to the ground, the world spinning around me. When I lifted my head, a strange object glimmered in the underbrush, a necklace, shimmering with an ethereal glow. The woman stood already far away, her urgency echoing in the midnight air. I reached out to touch the necklace, my fingers grazing its surface, hoping it might hold the key to unlocking the truth. While behind me the sounds of the forest grew darker, more threatening, and just as my fingers slipped around the cool metal, I sensed Ida stirring in the shadows, a whisper of danger that warned me just before the ground beneath us began to quake anew. I realized in that moment, with a pulse of terror in my heart, that whatever awaited me, it would change everything. The tremors of the earth reverberated through my bones as a new wave of dread surged within me. I clutched the necklace tightly, feeling the pulse of energy throbbing beneath my fingertips, but I didn't have time to process its significance. The woman's voice, now strained with urgency, echoed through the night air, urging me from the ground. "Get up," she shouted. "We must keep moving." I scrambled to my feet, shaking off the confusion and fear that pressed in on me. The forest around us felt alive, a creature in its own right, thrumming with an energy I could hardly comprehend. I glanced back at the path we had traveled, sensing a presence lingering just out of sight. Something dark was stalking us. I turned to the woman, our eyes meeting momentarily. Her demeanor had shifted. It was no longer one of cryptic mystery, but of raw determination. "We need to reach the clearing," she said, pointing ahead. "It's our only hope." A flicker of something, was it fear? Crossed her face as we raced forward, branches clawing at my clothes, pulling at my skin. I wanted to ask so many questions, to demand the answers that felt forever eluding me. But the sounds behind us grew louder, more menacing. I kept moving, guided only by the light of the moon occasionally breaking through the canopy, illuminating our path. "Why does the witch want Ethan?" I blurted out, desperation clouding my thoughts. "What does she intend to do to my son?" The woman shot a glance back as if weighing her words. "The witch sees love as a powerful Saursea force she wishes to control. And Ethan, he is a beacon because of the bond he shares with you. She wants to draw on that connection, to harness it." A swell of anger ignited within me. "Then we can't let her. I won't let her take my son." The path opened up to a clearing, illuminated by ethereal light, spilling from the center like molten silver. It was a stunning contrast to the oppressive shadows we had fled. I felt a wave of relief wash over me as we paused, panting. "What is this place?" I asked, stepping cautiously into the clearing. The air shimmered, thick with possibility. A sudden gust of wind swirled around us, carrying with it whispers that sounded almost like laughter. The woman reached for my arm, her grip firm. "This place is a sanctuary of sorts, a liminal space where truths can be revealed. We must be careful." My nerves frayed again as I surveyed the clearing. "And how do we use it? How do we find Ethan?" "Focus on the bond," she instructed, her voice steady, almost calming. "Feel it within you. The love that connects you. The strength that arises from that bond. It will guide you." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath, reaching deep into myself to find that connection. Memories flooded back. Ethan's laughter, the sparkle in his eye, how he clung to me during thunderstorms, his unwavering belief in the magic of life. A warmth bloomed in my chest, an undeniable energy dancing at my fingertips. I opened my eyes and saw shimmering motes of light swirling around us in response. Then, just as quickly as it began, the light flickered and waned, swallowed whole by shadows creeping at the edges of the clearing. Panic seized me again, a tightening grip around my throat. "It's not enough," I whispered, almost in despair. Suddenly, the distinct sound of laughter echoed through the trees, bright and innocent, a sound that cut through my anxiety like a knife. It was Ethan. My heart shattered and mended all at once, drawing me forward into the depths of the forest from which we had escaped. "Listen," I urged the woman, but she turned wan, her face ashen. "I can't let you go alone," she said, dread flickering in her expression. "It's not safe. That laugh, it may be a lure." But I couldn't weigh the sound against the fear that clutched my heart. I had to find him. Without waiting for her reply, I stepped deeper into the forest. As I moved, the shadows thickened around me, thick as smoke and heavy as guilt. Yet the laughter echoed ever closer. Each step sent electricity through my veins, a mixture of terror and fierce hope. And then the laughter transformed. Instead of the pure, unfiltered joy of my son, it became a low, mocking drone, swirling around me until the air crackled with tension. "Ethan," I called out into the depths. The darkness wrapped around me, and just as I felt despair creeping back in, a flicker of light appeared through the trees. There, illuminated by an otherworldly glow, stood an apparition, my son, ethereal and beautiful, as if painted by the very stars themselves. His eyes were wide with confusion. "Mommy?" he whispered, his voice a wavering thread woven into the fabric of the night. "Ethan," my heart sang, tears spilling down my cheeks. But as I lunged forward to embrace him, a cold wind rushed past me, icy and sharp, and the light flickered, darkness swirling back in like a tide. Wait, I screamed, desperately reaching out, but the space between us stretched and fractured, chaos erupting in every direction. The woman dashed forward, trying to break the distance that yawned wide like a hungry abyss. In that moment, the forest erupted with a deafening cacophony, a roar that echoed the pain of my heart. The shadows twisted grotesquely, seemed to draw in on themselves, and then I saw them, the pale figures of the lost, their faces gaunt, eyes hollow. Mama. Ethan's voice fragmented as the darkness surged around him, a thick fog swallowing him whole, and then, just like that, the light extinguished, leaving me in blind shadows, unable to hold on to the fleeting moment. The woman grasped my hand, but something had shifted. Only love can banish the dark, she whispered, her face a mixture of fear and rampant determination. In that echoing void, I realized then the love I had for Ethan was my only weapon against the encroaching shadows, but the question remained. Would it be enough? The darkness enveloped me, heavy and suffocating, pressing against my chest as panic clawed its way up my throat. Ethan! I screamed again, hoping that somehow my voice could penetrate the shadows that surrounded him. I strained my ears, willing to catch another glimpse of that sweet, innocent laughter, but all I found was the dull thrum of fear echoing back to me. At my side, the woman's grip tightened, her presence steadying me in that moment of chaos. We can't lose hope, she insisted, her voice steady despite the trembling fear I could sense in her. We must invoke the love, focus, and call to him with your heart. I shuddered but knew she was right. I had to dig deep within myself, to uncover the wellspring of love that coursed through my veins, the unyielding bond between mother and son that even the dark could not sever. So, I closed my eyes, breathing in the scent of the earth, a mix of damp leaves and blossoming wildflowers. Every heartbeat reminded me of Ethan, his laughter, his small hand in mine, the way he radiated pure joy. Ethan, my love, I murmured softly, recalling the countless moments that made my heart swell and ache for him. I am here. Follow my voice. I will find you. A flicker of light began to glow within me, pulsating in time with the rhythm of my heart. I envisioned Ethan's smile, the way his eyes lit up at his favorite stories, his fearless curiosity about everything around him. The warmth radiating through my chest ignited a beacon that cut through the shadows, illuminating the darkness just enough to see the outline of trees twisting unnaturally, as if trying to keep me away. Find me, Mommy, urged a voice, fragile and small, almost lost in the cacophony of dusk. Ethan, I gasped, shooting my eyes open, determined to push beyond the void that threatened to consume us both. The shadows receded slightly, and there, somewhere deep in the thicket, I saw the glow of familiar eyes, those same wide, trusting eyes that had always sought my comfort. The woman's fingers brushed against mine, a silent show of solidarity, urging me forward. We can do this together, she said, surprising me with her sudden conviction. Trust in the bond. Let it guide you. As if sensing our intent, the shadows coiled tighter, an angry vortex swirling amidst the trees in opposition to our efforts. I squared my shoulders, shutting my eyes briefly to draw strength from all my memories of Ethan. The laughter, the warmth, the gentle way he would curl into my side when he was tired, all of it surged in me stronger than fear. Ethan, I love you, I cried out, and with each word, I felt a tremor beneath my feet. I will find you no matter the cost. An echo of my voice danced back to me, compelling and fierce, clawing its way through the oppressive dark. In response, the shadows rippled and swayed as if my words held power over them. Suddenly, I felt a surge of love emanated from me like a beacon, exploding against the walls of despair around, making the shadows pulse and flicker with uncertainty. Bathed in the glow of my love, I pressed forward, every step an anthem of hope and defiance. Ethan, hear me. Slowly but surely, the darkness began to thin. The trees swayed, the winding shadows swirling reluctantly as if reluctant to yield their prey. Just then, A wisp of energy shot forward, intertwining with my own. I glanced at the woman, her face illuminated with understanding, a glimmer of shared determination. "It's working," she exclaimed, her voice rising with excitement. "We can break through." But just as I thought we had unearthed a way forward, a shriek pierced the night-chilling sound that cut through our momentum. The shadows lurched, a wave of malice flooding toward us as if angered by our defiance. I was filled with dread, my resolution wavering for just a heartbeat as I glimpsed the pale faces of those lost, eyes now glinting with malevolence. "Don't look away," the woman urged me, her voice a lifeline. "Focused love shatters fear." "Ethan," I called out again, desperation weaving itself through my voice. But as I did, I realized the laughter that had once beckoned me now twisted into something darker, something that felt like a betrayal scorching through my heart. A tremor burst through the ground beneath my feet, signaling a split in the very fabric of reality. "Mommy!" echoed the cry, but not from the bright-eyed boy I remembered. This voice held a tremor of fear and confusion I had never known. "Help me!" Through the shroud of darkness, a figure suddenly emerged, entangled in shadows, face obscured. My heart raced. "Ethan!" I cried out, but the voice was wrong. It was a darker reflection, echoing something beyond my comprehension. "Mommy, you have to stop. It's not safe." Confusion stormed through me, and my heart splintered with uncertainty. Was that really Ethan? I couldn't tell if the shadow before me was my son or a manifestation of the darkness that sought to trap him. I was left with a decision, hanging between love and fear, stay and fight against the encroaching shadows or move forward toward the uncertain figure, possibly walking directly into a trap. "Choose." The woman's voice called from somewhere behind me, almost drowned by the escalating outcry of chaos surrounding us. "Your love can save him, but you must choose where to direct it." Then, the forest erupted in a flurry of energetic, chaotic dance of shadows and light. And as the cries escalated and the shadows crept closer, my heart echoed the choice before me, a swinging pendulum drawing me toward an uncertain fate. The shroud enveloped me, a suffocating embrace that told me the darkness was not finished demanding its toll. Panic clawed at the back of my throat, and I could feel the wetness pooling in my eyes as the chaotic energy swirled around me. The figure that wore my son's likeness thrust me further into turmoil, the words wrapping around my heart like cold, heavy chains. "Mommy, it's a trap." The voice quivered, trembling beneath layers of desperate insistence. The woman's presence behind me felt like an anchor, steady yet unfaltering. "You are guided by love, not fear. Trust it. Your heart knows the way." My instincts battled within me as I stared at the flickering figure taking shape through the mists. The shadows that clung to it whispered, twisting my affection into an illusion. They tugged, each murmur inducing doubt that draped over my resolve. If that figure was Ethan, and I didn't push through this darkness, would I ever forgive myself? But what if it wasn't him? Focus on Ethan. Your bond is pure, unbreakable. The woman shouted, cutting through my internal struggle. Her sincerity struck me like a bolt of claridemy. Love wasn't just a choice. It was my duty. Ethan. I let the name ring out again, this time deeper and stronger. "I'm here. I won't abandon you." The dim shadow lurched forward, reforming, spitting out distorted echoes of my son's laughter. "Mommy, please, I don't know where I am. I can't see you. My love," I cried, clawing my way through the void, anchored only by the steady rhythm of my heart. "I'm coming." As I surged forward, shadows lashed out, seizing at my limbs like icy hands, but fueled by my resolve, I pressed on. Each surge of emotion lit the way, illuminating the true essence of my love that fought back the tide. Yet, in the depths of resistance, something flickered dangerously in the periphery of my vision, a brief moment of light igniting, not just around me, but inside the swathes of darkness themselves. "Trust in the light that exists within you." The woman's voice resonated, breaking through the clamor, cascading strength through my faltering spirit. "Together, you can expose the truth." The words ignited a spark within me, a flame flickering to life in the shadowed wilderness. With every step I took, my surroundings brightened, revealing jagged edges and forms cloaked in despair, yearning for release. I could see them now, lost souls trapped in a void, their faces hauntingly familiar but distorted by the shadows that clutched them. "Mommy!" The figure wailed again, and as I pressed forth, my heart split anew. Were they pleas of an innocent child? Or were they a ruse, fashioned to spark my hesitation? With every sinew of my being, I reached out, unearthing those memories of Ethan, the warmth of his tiny hand, the laughter that danced like sunlight, spilling joy into every crack of my heart. "I believe in you, my love," I cried out, channeling strength from memories draped in radiance. "I won't let darkness take you." The shadows lunged forward, swirling dangerously close, and I felt the static energy lurch once more. The fragmented reflections of my son shimmered and roiled with the twisting energies, bearing down like a storm. This fractured moment suspended between love and fear bled into the arid emotional fabric so thick it rendered time irrelevant. "Mommy, it's wrong," the figure gasped, paralleling my own thoughts but reverberating with a haunting depth. "They want you to choose to fail." And that realization unfolded slowly. Love had become a battlefield. It wasn't simply about reclaiming Ethan. It was a duel against whatever malevolence aimed to cripple me, to take advantage of my desperation. The cries around me felt distorted, laughter snatched by despair. Shadows reached toward me like weary hands looking for solace beyond their grasp, yearning for compassion in their own twisted plight. Enough. A surge of resolve washed through me, a newfound fury igniting against the darkness. "Be gone!" I screamed, though my voice quivered as the panic infused my words. "Your power ends here." With that declaration, I summoned the warmth of every radiant moment I had shared with my son, weaving it into a protective tapestry that draped over us like an unseen shield. I took a confident step toward the essence of the boy that danced before me, clutching my love as an armor against the shadows that collided around us. The chaos intensified, the shadows howling in rage, yet from within their thrashing a new sound began to emerge, a whisper of laughter threaded through layers of sorrow, dancing on the air like the first light of dawn breaking. "Mommy!" The distortion began to break, revealing instead the face of my son. "Help me! I believe in you!" And just like that, the ground erupted in response. Energy swirled like a vortex, and I was thrust back. A shockwave radiated outward, sending me tumbling. I landed gasping, heart pounding as the figure wavered before me, flickering between the boy I loved and something darker that lingered just beyond reach. I realized in that moment, engulfed by chaos, that beneath the layered battle of shadows, love had always been my greatest weapon. Yet as dread seeped into the edges of my hope, one more revelation echoed through the cacophony. "Mommy." The voice trembled, now draped in despair, layered with an urgency that chilled my bones. "You can't let them find out." The realization struck like thunder. There was more to this fight than just rescuing Ethan. Something further was hidden in the depths of darkness, something far greater that threatened us all. As I struggled to regain my footing, my heart thundered with a chilling truth. What if the shadows were waiting, lurking for me in a way I could scarcely comprehend? "Mommy, don't," echoed a plea that cut through the chaos, offering only a moment of clarity before a wave of shadows slammed into me, cloaked in unfamiliar malice. As dark revelations surged and the chaos began to consume us again, the darkness roared around me, a living entity driven by palpable hatred as it twisted and turned. Hungry for the last shred of hope I clung to, my breath quickened, a frantic cadence that matched the chaotic energy swirling through the void. But deep within me, an ember of resilience flickered. The tether to my son pulsed with each heartbeat, guiding me even as the shadows threatened to drown it out. "Mommy, don't," the haunting voice echoed in my ears, a stark reminder of the gravity of my mission. I struggled to gather my thoughts, my heart racing with the weight of what lay before me. What was hidden in the depths of this ethereal battleground that could change everything? "Focus." The woman's voice, though distant, returned with a fierce command. "You're not alone. Breathe. Find the light." As I inhaled deeply, inhaling fragments of love, sorrow, hope. I felt my aura shift. I called forth memories, allowing them to surge and combat the despair. It was then that I caught sight of flickering shadows shifting to reveal a figurea child embodied in pure light but wrapped in painful darkness. A mirror of what Ethan was enduring. "Ethan," I cried out, urging the limp figure of the boy toward me. "You are not lost. I will find you." Yet as I reached for him, the shadows writhed in protest, pushing against the tendrils of love I sent forth. "Mommy, they feed on your fear," he cried, his innocent eyes wide and pleading. "You must see what they hide." Each word he spoke seemed to shower the darkness with a radiant glow. And in that moment, like a flickering bulb, clarity pulsed through me. His wasn't just about my son. It was about what threatened our bond, our very existence. The chaos stemming from a more profound enmity lingered at the edges, awaiting my discovery. A surge of frozen dread flashed in my veins, chilling my heart as I pieced together the reality. There was a greater evil entwined with this struggle, one that sought to sever our love, to mutate it into despair. The shadows whispered secrets of isolation and shame, trying to sway me away from the truth. But I would not succumb. All that Ethan and I had built was too precious to lose. The moment hung suspended between us, and I tightened my hands into fists, drawing strength from the deepest wells of my heart. "No more lies," I shouted into the darkness, feeling the air tighten as my words hung like an incantation in the void. "I will confront this together with my son. I will not let you take him from me." The atmosphere around me shifted. The shadows recoiled as if struck by the force of my declaration. "Can you hear me, Ethan?" I beckoned, voice carrying through the turmoil. "Together we can illuminate the truth." "Mommy." He sounded so close, his figure shimmering as the shadows wavered around him. "Trust in us. We must uncover what lies beneath." But even as hope surged, a new wave of darkness surged forward, cloaked in deceptive beauty. A voice so familiar curled around me like a sweet embrace, yet it bore a threat that set my heart racing. "Mommy, you'd really risk everything to save him? To delve deeper into the abyss? What if you discover something even more grotesque?" "Who are you?" I yelled, refusing to yield. "What do you want? To ensnare me in your web of lies?" "Lies, dear one? I am only truth." The voice purred, echoing with an unmistakable familiarity. The shadows shifted, momentarily aligning to reveal a flicker of a face I recognized, the woman who once stood by me, warm and filled with reassurance, now twisted into a haunting visage. "Why did you hide the truth?" Her lips curled in a semblance of a smile, but it felt laced with venom. "What if the darkness bears no love? What if the depths simply reflect what lies within you?" Terror ignited in the pit of my stomach. I fought against the grasping shadows, the despair clawing at my heart. "You're wrong. My love is stronger than any darkness. It's the reason I fight, the reason I hold on." "Is it?" she crooned, and the shadows rippled, as if tasting my resolve. "Are you certain? What if in this fight you lose everything, every piece you deem precious? What if your love was never enough?" "No!" I screamed, an outburst of defiance that felt like a gunshot ringing through the chaos. "You'll never take him away from me. Will you join me instead?" The woman whispered softly, even as the flickers of shadows morphed around her like phantom hands. "You don't know the depths of your love. It may betray you, lead you to ruin." But a tremor of understanding coursed through me. "You're just another shadow trying to confuse me," I shouted, resurgence igniting my words. "Ethan and I are bound by love, and no darkness can ever erase that. I will find him." With a furious thrust of my heart, I tapped into every ounce of our shared laughter, the moments of joy, and even the saddest memories. They collided against the shadows, illuminating their grotesque figures with radiant clarity. The confrontation blurred the lines, the terrifying thoughts stealing over me. What if, in knowing the truth, we lost each other forever? "Mommy," Ethan called once again, and with a dire urgency, desperation threading each syllable of his words. "You must choose. If you look too deep, you may find something darker." And as I paused, my breath hitching. I felt the wind sway, oscillating, vibrating with the weight of the unforeseen. An overwhelming wave of realization threatened to drown me. Here was something I had yet to uncover. A truth that lingered just beneath the surface. Mommy, never forget me, even if the truth is too heavy to carry. His voice began to waver, mingling with the shadows that swirled ominously around us, casting a veil that threatened to sweep him away. I had a choice to make, a choice that could shift this entire battle, a choice that would either illuminate our path forward or plunge me into deeper despair. Time hung in balance, and as the shadows lurked with a vengeance, a new revelation was set to erupt, one that would forever alter the fabric of our love. Would I dare to face the truth? The world around me trembled like glass, each crack slowly unfurling to reveal the profound fissures hidden beneath the surface of my resolve. I fought against the darkness with a ferocity I had not known I possessed. But as Ethan's warning echoed against the walls of despair, doubt began to seep into my thoughts like poison. What did he mean by something darker? A flicker of uncertainty danced around me, teasing the edges of my mind, and the shadows began to shift as if aware of my faltering spirit. The woman's visage morphed, fragments of her old self vanishing into the night, replaced instead by sorrowful eyes that seemed to know too much. It was a reflection I hadn't anticipated. Is love truly enough? She asked, her voice barely an echo, soft yet laced with an edge that cut deeper than any blade could. What if, in loving so fiercely, you blind yourself to the dangers that lie hidden? Consider the truth buried in your past. No, I felt the warmth bubble up again, a tether binding me to Ethan. I would never allow the darkness to twist my love. I'll fight until my last breath to protect him. As if in response, the shadows coiled tighter, and the boy I adored slipped further from view. Panic bubbled up, threatening to drown my clarity in a raging tide. Ethan, my voice trembled, wavering like a flickering flame. If we are to confront the truth, we must do it together. In that moment of despair, when shadows seemed the thickest, a small light began to weave through the air, the tiniest glimmer of hope. It spiraled toward me, shimmering like the laughter we once shared. I reached for it, my hands trembling as I felt warmth wrap around my heart. This moment, however fleeting, anchored me amidst the turmoil. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye, and I turned quickly. There was a face reflected in the darkness. A child, with hair like spun gold and eyes like bullets of light, peering back at me, a gentleness unlike the shadows tried to disguise. My heart swelled. Was it my imagination? Or was Ethan truly there, hiding among the remnants of desperation? Mommy, he whispered, a soft plea that wrapped around my heart like a lifeline. Please don't look away. Ethan, there was urgency weighted in my voice. I'm here. Together we can break free. But even as I spoke his name, the darkness threatened to envelop his figure, its claws tightening with an insidious grip. Mommy, you need to understand. He pleaded further, a tremor in his small voice forging a connection through the haze of uncertainty. There's something I've hidden from you even now. I'm scared. What is it? I urged, desperately grasping for clarity as the shadows pulsated malevolently around us. Tell me. It's about the darkness itself, Ethan said quietly, his voice almost swallowed by the chaos. What fuels it? It's born from something we've both experienced. It reflects our fears, the pain buried deep within us. The truth is it's a part of us. And if you chase the light too far, you may discover that it's not just the shadows you foresee, could be us confronting our own hearts. My heart? Shock rolled through me, forcing me to confront emotions I had long buried. Ethan, what do you mean? Suddenly, as if unearthing the deepest wounds of our souls, memories flooded back, sharded moments of despair from years prior. Regrets and unhealed pain swirled in my mind, memories of loss and grief that I had shielded myself from and barely acknowledged. The darkness was not merely external. It was woven into the very fabric of our existence. Before I could respond, a gust of wind howled through, a cacophony of anguished whispers that spiraled around us. The shadows roared again, a black tide threatening to engulf us both. They're angry, Ethan shouted, desperation radiating from him as the shadows lunged, hungry and insatiable. They will show you the truth, Mommy. But it will cost you everything. I'm ready, I shouted back, the courage born from love igniting my spirit. I took a step closer to Ethan, hand outstretched toward him. No matter what we find, I will hold you close. I promise. But as the shadows writhed and the whispers grew louder, another surge of darkness lashed out, pulling Ethan back. Mommy, you can't let them twist it. Please, I can't lose you. His eyes bore into me with urgency, leaving me weak and trembling. And then, something stirred in the shadows. A shadowy figure began to coalesce, a form that suddenly felt hauntingly familiar. Time slowed as the contours of a face became evident, the lips curling into a wretched smile. It was a visage of my own long-lost sister, a girl I had yearned for but thought was gone forever. Would you join us, dear sister? The figure taunted, each word laced with a blend of mockery and allure. Or will you plunge into the depths to save the boy? My breath caught in my throat, and with it came an unbearable weight. Faith? I whispered, the name spilling from my lips like a forgotten hymn. Could it truly be her? Come and see what we've made together, she said, her voice echoing in the abyss. The darkness holds no secrets that you cannot bear. After all, we are all made of the same stuff, aren't we? No, I cried out, a mixture of anguish and defiance surging within me. I will not let this darkness drown my son. Whatever it takes, I will fight. The shadows surged forward once more, but this time, they blurred the line, melting between the familiar and the grotesque. In that moment, I realized that everything I had turned to face the depths of my heart, the shadows of my past, might just lead me to unveil a truth I had kept buried for far too long. Would I be strong enough to unearth it? Yet, just at that moment, as time held its breath like a string pulled taut, Ethan cried out one last time. Mommy, the truth, it could break us both. I felt the pressure rise, an agonizing pulse coursing through the air as the shadows leaned in closer, ready to swallow us whole. Would I dare chase the light, even if it came at a cost I could barely fathom? Or would I let fear dictate my choices, allowing Ethan to slip away into the void? The choice thrashed within me like a raging storm, and as I stood caught in the grip of uncertainty, I knew one thing above all else: this battle was only just beginning. The world around me was a whirlwind of chaos, the shadows pulsating like a beast eager to consume its prey. I stood frozen, torn between the reflection of my sister and the heart-wrenching gaze of my son. Ethan's desperation ignited a primal instinct within me, yet the tendrils of darkness twisted around my heart, squeezing tightly, urging me to succumb to despair. Please, Mommy. Ethan's voice trembled, cutting through the cacophony of shadows that threatened to devour us. You have to choose. I can't lose you to that. I felt the tears stream down my cheeks, a cascade of sorrow and love mingling together. Why was everything so painfully complicated? My thoughts darted back to the beautiful memories of laughter shared with my sister, the warmth of family bonds, those stolen moments of joy that now felt like a distant echo. Faith, is it really you? I rasped, trying to peel apart the layers of my heart. What happened to us? Why are you here? The shadows swirled, eager to swallow the conversation, but I pressed on, desperate for clarity. Oh, dear sister, the figure of Faith whispered, her voice a melodic harmony intertwined with the darkness. I came to remind you of the ties that bind. You thought you lost me, but I am part of you, woven into the very fabric of your soul. Just as this darkness requires pain to thrive, it can also be a path to understanding and healing. Stop, I shouted, the power of my words slicing through the darkness. You don't get to twist my memories into weapons against me. I will not be led astray by illusions. With each word, I took a step closer to Ethan, drawing strength from the shimmering light he emanated, even as it flickered perilously close to being extinguished. Mommy, remember what love can do, Ethan implored. You taught me that love is light, that it can penetrate even the darkest night. His earnest plea wrapped around my heart like a thread woven by the hands of fate itself. My pulse quickened, and I nodded, searching deep within myself for the trueness Ethan spoke of. There remained a flicker beneath the weight of prior anguish, a flicking flame ignited by connection, by love, by every moment we had shared. That love could not be suffocated. It could illuminate the darkest corners. I choose love, I cried, my voice rising above the shadows that I in response. The darkness recoiled, snarling at the force my declaration had unleashed. Faith's figure shimmered, her expression turning from mocking to bewilderment. You're choosing him over me? For a brief moment, heartache twinged within me. I had yearned for my sister, to understand her pain, and somehow make her whole. No, I said softly, my heart breaking for the void she had suffered. I'm choosing life, and with it, the purest form of love. But then the shadows lunged again, a tempest of loss enveloping Faith before my eyes, wrapping her tighter than I had imagined. You can't escape the truth, dear sister. The shadows are within you as much as they are outside. Just as the darkness threatened to engulf me, a sudden burst of light erupted from the very core of my being. Memories danced across the fabric of my Minda tapestry of laughter shared, tears shed, lessons learned. Love poured forth like an unstoppable river, cascades of memory melting the icy grip of despair. Stop, I shouted, cocooning Ethan in my embrace, as I felt the warmth of our shared light push back against the oncoming tide. The swirling shadows hesitated, jittering like flickering flames in a storm. We can face this together. The past does not define us. Ethan's small hand gripped mine tighter, a grounding force that lifted my spirits. Mommy, we have the strength to turn this darkness into light. We can bring Faith back. What if she's beyond saving? I faltered, uncertainty gnawing at my resolve. I had just begun to grasp the enormity of what awaited us, the truth that likely rested in the core of this darkness. She needs you as much as you need her, Ethan whispered, his innocence shimmering like an ethereal light amongst the swirling uncertainties. Her pain is just as real, and love is what can heal all wounds. I finished his thought, revelation striking me like lightning. I tightened my grip on him, fueled with a sense of purpose. If I could face the darkness within myself, perhaps I could bring Faith back to the light. But before I could act, the shadows twisted violently, a tempest of black, snarling as icy tendrils swept through, engulfing me whole. I felt a bone-chilling cold seep into my bones, yanking me away from Ethan, distorting the sweet sounds of hope and love. Mommy, he screamed, a piercing cry that echoed in the chasm of despair. I thrashed futilely against the tempest surrounding me, the shadows clawing and gnashing, threatening to tear us apart. Please, I will not lose him. The darkness formed around me, pulling tighter, but in the throes of agony, a sudden warmth emerged like the softest caress of a summer breeze. A figure began to materialize, a vision glimmering through the blackness. It was Faith, her eyes lit with fire and passion, reflecting the love that once held us together. What are you doing, sister? She beckoned, her features steeped in longing and vulnerability. Do you not see? You and I are intertwined. This darkness, you must embrace it to summon the light. As her words washed over me, a wave of emotion surged through my heart, both terrifying and freeing. The revelation hung in the air, pregnant with possibility, and just as the fragments of my past threatened to converge and consume me whole, something pressed against my consciousness, a choice waiting on the horizon. The realm of shadows shifted, and I stood on the precipice of our fate, the decision looming larger than I could comprehend. Could I step willingly into the dark depths, unearthing the truths buried deep within, even if it meant risking everything I held dear? And as Ethan's terrified voice faded from my grasp, I knew then that I would have to face both the light and the dark, knowing full well it might change everything. Forever. Would my love for him be enough to bridge the chasm, or would the darkness spiral into an unfathomable abyss, leaving me grasping at shadows? In that moment, my heart raced, poised to either embrace the light or yield to the darkness swallowing me whole. The chaos around me felt like a tempest, angry winds howling through the trees, shadows dancing as if alive, swirling to conceal the flickering light I desperately sought. I stood at the edge of an abyss, both exhilarating and terrifying, a tumultuous land where shadows and truths entwined, threatening the very fabric of our love. Ethan's voice echoed still, restless in the depths, whispering for me to find him. Mommy, the urgency clipped my heart, launching me into action. I had to choose. The shadows could either drown me in despair or lead me deeper into the light that promises redemption. Faith, I whispered, tears glistening as I stepped closer to the shimmering reflection of my sister's face, familiar yet riddled with shadows of sorrow. You've been lost too long. If we can bring ourselves to the light, maybe you can join us. The words poured from my soul, raw and trembling. Light? You think this darkness can be transformed? We are bound by the shadows, sis, she insisted, but beneath the haze of pain, I glimpsed a flicker. The woman I had lost was still there, buried beneath the layers of despair. You've fought too long in isolation. We can't let the shadows drown us. I reached for her, fighting against the icy grip wrapping around my heart, fighting for the light that had flickered even in the darkest moments. You are not alone. We are connected, sewn by the same threads of love that once brought us joy. The shadows writhed, shrieking in agony, but Ethan's desperate calls urged me forward. Mommy, don't give in. Fight for me, echoed from the depths, and every strand of resilience surged within me. Each step I took was defined by the strength of that love we shared. The bond was not merely a memory. It was a lifeline tethered to hope. Ethan, I shouted, feeling the grip of obscurity loosen as I stumbled forward. I will find you, my love. With every heartbeat, the warmth surged brighter, casting specters of darkness a beacon that refracted light among the shadows. Your insistence will be your undoing. Faith's voice rippled with anger, desperation flickering in her eyes. Look how they grow stronger. Can't you see? Our love is the very darkness that binds us. The air crackled around us, shadows curling with a hint of malice. The quiet whispers growing louder, shattering the silence with haunting echoes. Oh, I fought back, steeling my heart against the desolation threatening to pull us apart. What we had, what we can have, is worth fighting for. You taught me to love fiercely, to believe in the beauty within the dark. Together we can defy this fate. And as I spoke, the chaos escalated. Shadows twisted like hands, reaching for my soul, but I stood my ground, reaching for the flickering light even deeper. Ethan, at that moment, the hallowed light beamed fiercely from my core, surging outward, illuminating the depths of shadows like the rays of dawn breaking over a barren horizon. I lunged forward with renewed purpose, desperate yet determined, the darkness giving way to an ethereal glow as its malignant grasp faltered. Find me, Mommy, echoed Ethan, clearer now, each word drawing me nearer to him as I stood steadfast against the tide of encroaching shadows. The intricate weave of fear and sorrow began to unravel, revealing the raw essence that acted as both curse and blessing, the love we had fought to cultivate despite the chaos of our past. Together, I called, forcing my light to breathe that power into the shadows, infusing them with every ounce of belief that flickered within me. Together, we shatter this darkness. And as if my words echoed a powerful incantation, the shadows recoiled, hissing and writhing like serpents displaced by light. I felt Faith's spirit flicker as I opened my heart, embracing every pain, every memory, every shred of love that had ever existed in our shared lives. A war of emotions played around me, and my heartbeat became the melody by which new possibilities were forged. The light poured from both of us, resonating with every piece of laughter we had shared, a bond unbroken, binding us not just in joy but in acknowledgement of the shadows we bore individually. Each flicker was a reminder of the strength forged through our shared experiences of love and loss. We were the warriors battling not just for Ethan, but for the family we were meant to become. Suddenly, within the hearts of shadows, a figure emerged, a distortion giving way like the mist lifting in the early morning light to reveal my son, lined with pure light yet anchored in the enigma of shadows threatening to consume it. Mommy, Ethan cried, reaching out, the warmth radiating through the fissures in darkness that sought to extinguish his light. You found me. Hold on. With every ounce of courage, I willed myself to push forth, disappearing into the void as I reached for him with trembling arms. "I'm here," I shouted, lifting him into the safety of our light, melding our warmth together to forge strength against the encroaching dark. And in that moment, as we embraced, the shadows shrieked, a cacophony of anguish that echoed through the forest, their grip faltering as the brilliance of our bond illuminated the depths. Through the frenzy, I felt faith beside us, no longer a haunting specter but the essence of love intertwining, shimmering, becoming one with the raw emotion that surged between mother and son. The shadows cried out louder, roiling against the brilliance of our connection, but as our warmth entwined, the darkness began to unravel. "Let go!" I screamed into the chaos, and with that last declaration, the shadows staggered, collapsing inward, absorbed by the love we had promised to defend. And in that moment, everything shifted. The night was suffused with brilliance as light clawed through enveloping shadows, illuminating every corner and fractal, casting aside the taint of despair. The echoes of cries stilled, replaced by a stillness that wrapped around us like a cocoon, shielding us with love. And as we stood together, Ethan's face reflecting joy, my heart swelling with relief, and Faith's light now radiant as ever, we embraced the truth born from our shadows. The darkness that threatened to break us had instead forged us anew. Weakness faded as warmth engulfed us, flowing in unison, healing every wound we had harbored. The shadows dissipated, replaced by a gentle breeze that carried whispers of joy and laughter, memories that lingered sweetly in the air. A connection we would never lose again. With every moment that passed and every flicker of warmth we shared, the remnants of darkness receded further into oblivion, a testament to the strength of love that defies shadows and builds new legacies. I realized then, love was not just a simple bond nor merely a whisper, it was an anthem that resounded through time, echoing bright even against the darkest nights. As I glanced down at Ethan, the warmth radiating between us, I knew that not only had we freed ourselves from the grip of shadows, we had transformed them into guiding lights, illuminating a future filled with promise and resilience. The world around us flickered, vibrant with colors more vivid than before, a testament to the depths we had delved through the darkness together. "We did it," I gasped, holding my son closer. And as I turned back to Faith, now a luminous part of the fabric that bound us, the connection between us crystallized. "We are warriors," I whispered, breathless with realization. "All of us, and we will always rise together." With that thought, the sun began to rise beyond the distant horizon, casting away the shadows and ushering a new dawn, one that trembled with potential. This was not the end of the journey but rather the beginning, a testament to the light that transcended even the darkest nights. Together, Ethan sighed, resting his head against my shoulder, filled with hope, and I knew, as my heart radiated warmth and love for all we had fought through, we would continue to navigate life's winding path, never forgetting the power of light birthed from shadows, a reminder that love can conquer all, revealing its true beauty beneath the surface. I end that profound moment, as the sun broke free from the horizon, illuminating a world reborn. I whispered with fervor, "Against all darkness, our love will forever shine." The echoes of those words reverberated through the very fabric of my being, as if the universe aligned with our resolve, etching our story in the infinite glow of love, an emblem that would illuminate the path ahead, forevermore.